Hi, good morning, Glenn Kirschner.
Good morning, Steph.
See, everything happens for a reason. I missed you Friday, but now I need you even more. We're at another one of these mornings in America, and I don't know if you know, but Buffalo is my hometown. And, Top Supermarket is where I shop my whole life. And I have to ask you, Glenn, I know we've sort of touched on this before, but where is the fire in a crowded theater line, in free speech? Where, this manifesto was almost exactly out of Tucker Carlson's, white replacement theory monologues, or at least Stefanik's campaign ads. What is your take on what's happened this weekend?
So, my take on it is we are at this place in America where there's an intersection between unrestricted access to not only guns, not only assault rifles, but weapons of war, and there is unrestricted hate speech likely to inspire violence against minorities and others. And the intersection of those two things, unchecked, will produce a Buffalo over and over and over again. And Steph, it's the unchecked part that has me so furious, kind of permanently furious. Because if we had a whole of government approach to dealing with unrestricted access to weapons of war and unrestricted hate speech designed to inspire violence, we could actually make significant progress in protecting the American people. This is not rocket science. This is responsible government. Do you realize if we took a whole of government approach, and there are three things we need to do. We need to regulate using every agency of the executive branch. Give me 10 seconds and listen to this. Yeah. Department of Defense, Department of Justice, Treasury, Health and Human Services, Department of Homeland Security, Labor, Commerce, Education, State, Energy, Housing and Urban Development, the U.S. Consumer Protection Safety Commission, the SEC, the FCC. Steph, if we flooded this nation with common sense regulations designed to curb gun violence and curb hate speech designed to inspire attacks against minorities and others, do you know the good we could do if we regulated, if we legislated, and then we litigate? We go into court and we defend these regulations and this legislation designed to protect the American people. And if we win, we win. If we lose, the judiciary, the third branch of government, will tell us how we overstepped our bounds in those regulations, in that legislation. Yeah. We step back, we retool, and we do it again. Again, this is not rocket science. This is a prescription for responsible government.
Yeah. Well, and Glenn, you say it over and over again. This is why why that sign behind you, why justice matters, why there's got to be accountability. January 6th was domestic extremist terrorism. I mean, it's all the same. I mean, I have to find all the other articles you've been quoted in since I spoke to you last. Glenn Kirschner says the important point is denying a congressional subpoena could be part of the evidence the Justice Department includes in any possible cases to a grand jury. These subpoenas won't end up in testimony except for maybe someone like McCarthy, but they'll provide the January 6th committee a nice vehicle to provide a criminal deferral to DOJ, said another analyst quoted in this same piece with you. So what is your take on all of this? Because obviously we're fast approaching now the January 6th hearings, and we have, because this morning the January 6th committee may seek testimony from additional lawmakers. That's in addition to the 5 we've been talking about. Chiefs of staff and other aides to members of the House Select Committee were told Friday on their weekly conference call to brace for more bombshells ahead of the June 9th start of public hearings. The briefers did not say which lawmakers will be contacted or whether they intend to issue more subpoenas, because the first 5, that was the thing I said. What about the other people that we know gave reconnaissance tours or et cetera, et cetera?
All great questions. And I assume, and I said this on air over the weekend, I assume they targeted those 5 first, McCarthy and the others, because they have something directly incriminating regarding Donald Trump. The other ones, the folks who gave reconnaissance tours, Josh Hawley, he of the support for the insurrection with the raised fist, they'll get around to them. But I think these 5 are the ones that are directly tied to Trump in some way. So that's what they wanted to prioritize. And let me tell you, Steph, these subpoenas, put guys like McCarthy in a delicious trick bag. And I never thought I would use the words McCarthy and delicious in the same sentence. But here's why. Because McCarthy absolutely has information about Donald Trump's crimes. Yeah. We know it from McCarthy's own words, including on those recorded calls with Liz Cheney. And you know what he's done? He's hidden it. When they asked him, he concealed it. When they asked him to come in and interview voluntarily, he said, nope. Well, now he's been subpoenaed. And here's the thing. The landscape has changed since he first said nope to a voluntary interview, because we have a federal judge, David Carter, who ruled by a preponderance of the evidence that Donald Trump committed 2 federal felonies. And we've got this little crime on the books. It's a funny word that we don't often hear. It's called misprision of a felony. And what it means...
I was just going to ask you, Professor.
Let me jump ahead because I'm on a roll. If you have knowledge of a felony cognizable by a court of the United States, that's a mouthful, let me come back to it, and you conceal it or you refuse to report it to the appropriate authorities, you have committed a 3-year federal felony offense. And by burying this information, by concealing it, McCarthy has already committed that crime, but it's easier to prove now because a federal judge has cognized it. That is a word. I looked it up. Because the federal judge ruled that Donald Trump, by a preponderance of the evidence, committed 2 federal felony offenses. And if McCarthy refuses to comply with this subpoena and continues to conceal his knowledge of those crimes, bang, 3-year felony. And we just have to start indicting these people for their democracy-killing crimes.
Yeah. Misprison and cognizance. Okay. Wow. This is going to be a hard test.
I hope you're taking notes.
Okay. I got it. Okay. Someone asked you, do we know if the jail in the Capitol is usable? And you said it's not, but the 4 jail cells at the U.S. Capitol Police headquarters are cleaned out and ready for congressional guests. You've said it over and over again. I've said it over and over again. I saw you on TV again this weekend. They've got to use inherent contempt. I mean, I don't know what's going on at the DOJ, but that's the power we have, right? Now.
And I was on with Congressman Neguse, and, he was in one block and I was in the other, and Jonathan Capehart was right in the middle. And I'm challenging Congress respectfully. I love Joe Neguse. I really do. Yeah. But I'm challenging them. Listen, these are now your own members. If you're going to let your own members trample all over you and not compel their testimony by using your inherent power of contempt, then shame on you.
Well, and also, by the way, our friend Allison Gill tweeted, Mo Brooks said it would be wise to wait to respond to the subpoena until the 5 members have a chance to discuss a possible joint response. And as you said, or as anyone with a lick of sense would see it, co-conspirator coordination. It's like, let's get our story straight.
Yeah, but you know what? One or more of these, I always put the air quotes around the word men. One or more of these men will break. They will break. They're scared. They don't want to go to prison. They will tell the truth, and it only takes one, and then all of the other dominoes will fall.
Well, and you were saying, here are just some of the crimes in play for the seditious 5 members of Congress: McCarthy, Jordan, Brooks, Terry, Perry, and Biggs. They're all slightly different, aren't they?
Slightly different. Accessory after the fact, and misprision of a felony, conspiracy to commit offenses against the United States. But you know what? It seems like, based on available evidence, the Department of Justice could pick and choose among those crimes.
Speaking of crimes, you said Trump election lawyer John Eastman caught telling Pennsylvania legislators to, quote, just retabulate the vote count and give Trump enough votes to win because, quote, it will give you cover. I mean, it's... I guess we're looking at the Georgia stuff and the tape and so many crimes that seem so obvious, even to those of us with no legal training, right? That we want. Go ahead.
And what I think, everybody continues to say, when will DOJ act? They're dug in behind the scenes. We know they've opened a federal grand jury into Papergate, all the boxes he took to Mar-a-Lago. But they're also in the grand jury, I think, on the insurrection in all sorts of ways we don't know about. And I do believe, when Representative Raskin says, once we start putting on this evidence publicly on June 9, it's going to blow the roof off the House. Yeah. And I have no doubt, as I sit here, Steph, I have no doubt that DOJ will be indicting the higher ups of the insurrection. I have no doubt. I'd bet the farm on it. But I just wish they would start to do it incrementally and start to let us see some indictments now and work your way up. So it would give us confidence, and it would sort of reduce the anxiety that we're all experiencing.
Yeah.